All right, look at the camera. All right, you still look good. That's the good news. The good news is you still look good.
Merci beaucoup.
Right. Next thing we can transition into is I think we're a little bit far ahead of ourselves here. Now we need to backtrack a little bit. You mentioned one of my favorite words, which is random. And I think this is one of the most random meetups. And I say that in a sense, just about over 3 months ago, this doesn't exist. I'm finishing college at Lehigh, you are at Muhlenberg. And if somebody told you, you're going to meet this random guy from Lehigh, you're going to work together, and 3 months in, you're going to start a podcast, you'd be like, you guys are crazy. What are you talking?
Yeah.
So, but I think, let's both do a little bit of a backtrack in the timeline where we're sitting in front of a camera, starting a podcast. And by that, I mean a little bit of a background for Jenny, Maxwell, and I'll talk about Bishop and maybe the things that have to happen for this to happen.
So
it's a loaded question, I know.
No, seriously, no. And without even thinking, I'm just gonna just talk.
Just go take a stab at it. We'll see where it
so
goes.
what needs to happen before this
happens?
Yes. Jenny is supposed to be in Liberia, where she gets sent a scholarship application by a few friends and even one of her cousins and family.
She's pretty smart.
She thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Jenny will have to apply.
Yes.
And get selected as a candidate and go through the SAT prep and then apply to college in the US, and then she will get paired with some mentors, like group of mentors, and she will have to be in the US just around the height of the COVID pandemic in 2020. And she will have to spend between 1 to 4 years at Muhlenberg, graduate through a professor, get this job, and meet you, Bishop. That's the timeline. That's like the shortest timeline first. Opportunity to go to college in the US.
Yes.
Goes through the process of getting to the US. While in the US at the college, she has to complete within the given year, and then she'll have to graduate and seek job and get employed actually, and then she has to be employed at the Icoca Institute to meet you, Bishop. Who, I guess you have been. You've been at Lehigh since your undergraduate here.
Yes.
So I pass that baton to you.
Pretty much
what will have to happen.
Pretty much the same things have to happen with me as well. We do kind of have a similar trajectory in our life story. Mine starts back in a small village in Shakawe in Botswana, and a couple of things have to happen before this happens. Before I'm sitting here, I think just like you, I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship. It's called the Top Achievers Scholarship.
By the government of Botswana.
By the government of Botswana. Shout out to
Liberia, the Liberian government did not think about me.
Shout out to the VW government, though. Yeah, that's one of the things. The Botswana government, as far as investment in education, one of the best. And so I was fortunate enough. I got that opportunity and scholarship. I come to the US to study, and I'm at Lehigh University, which is one of the most random universities. Speaking of random, I think it couldn't get more random than Muhlenberg. Yeah, so it was random because I don't know Lehigh exists until like a year before I come to, and at that point I had made up my mind I was gonna go to Canada and if it wasn't for Canada, I would have went to Hong Kong because I was looking into engineering. Hong Kong Polytechnic University had good. So I was looking around. The US was actually not at the top of my list until another random meetup happens. The then head of the OISS in Lehigh goes to Botswana and ends up in my school. I think they were doing a recruiting mission and all that. So that's my first encounter with Lehigh University. I'm like, I never heard of y'all, like what's going on in there. But thank goodness I liked this guy. So I didn't know about the university, but him as a person, because I've met hundreds of those university of it. He was the first one who I think understood. And I got to learn that he himself was an international student from Senegal.
Oh.
And then he moved to there. So like even from the conversation, he was speaking from like a sense of, I know where you are right now, and I know what you're about to go into. I've made that journey. Yeah. So I connect to shout out to Samba. So that meetup happens. I'm still hell bent on going to Canada at this point. I was like, I've made up my mind. It's a little too late in the timeline for me to switch because I've already invested. Like I'm talking about I've already been admitted in UBC and everything, but somewhere along the line, there's just something about Samba that keeps, he keeps checking up on me. By the way, it's like, yo, how are your applications going? The dates for the visa for Canada. I'm like, this guy's helping me out. But I'm not even going to Lehigh at that point. Like he knows I'm going to a different institution, but he cares enough to make sure I get there. And halfway, I don't know what pissed me off, but something did with the process. And I just hit up some. I'm like, yo, is Lehigh still open? He's like, yeah, we're just about there with the. If you send in your application fast enough, we would consider you. So I switched to Lehigh University because of this guy.
Is he still at Lehigh?
No, he left. That's a bummer. But it was also because they had great programs, mind you. So, I mean, it was a good school, but Samba is like the tipping scale because there's a lot of good schools around in the schools I was going to. But Samba kind of moves the needle towards Lehigh. And I was like, I want to go to wherever that guy is. He helps me out. I get here and I'm doing mechanical engineering and philosophy. Speaking of random, I'm a very random guy. I'm doing two very separate degrees. So Lehigh has arts engineering program, which is philosophy and engineering. So that's what I did for my undergrad is 2 bachelors. That's rough, but I spend half that time in the theater department anyway. So I'm doing this 2 very intense degrees, but at heart, I'm still a creative. I still want to create art. I still want to express myself. So at Lehigh, I spent time also doing music. I'm a hip hop act and artist. I still make my music, even if it means staying up at 3 a.m. at night, recording. Like it was just that important to me that I keep that part of myself even when things were very rough and difficult and the pandemic and all that. But yeah, now I graduate. Now I'm like, okay, what the hell am I gonna do? You're this engineer, philosopher who's a rapper and theater, and I'm you mentioned earlier about knowing a little bit of everything. That's a good thing, but it also means there's a whole lot of things that pull in every direction of what you want to be and what you want to do, because it's a yes to everything. If you're like, you want to be this, I'll say yes. But at the core, I mentioned something about being an educator.
Yep.
That is the most true thing about myself. Even these things, like I said, the reason that drove me to know and learn all these things was because I wanted to teach and help other people. So I wanted everything to do with education. And towards my senior year, I remember I started having those conversations. And throughout Lehigh, I was working with the Office of International Affairs, the Akoka Institute, over the summers. So my passion for education was just something that showed naturally. Even my professors would ask, like, are you sure about this engineering thing? Like, and it was just kind of one of those things. But the stars aligned, long story short, I get a job at the Ayakoka Institute doing stuff that I was already in love with. And this summer, so right after my graduation, I joined the institute, and I do the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and up pops this random Liberian girl from Muhlenberg. First of all, I was like, I don't F with Muhlenberg like that, but sure.
Okay.
But no, so it was. I remember I walk into the office and she's sitting there, and I'm like, yeah, there's a new colleague. Now, to be fair though, she was the one that didn't like me.
There's nothing about liking this whole situation. I did not think anything. That's the thing.
She was just not feeling this. So like it was just, hi, hey, I'm trying to be nice.
It was my first day. I was like saucing everybody out. Just so you know.
She was just like, hey, I'm not gonna engage you in any, but in my head I'm thinking, you're stuck with me, bro. You're gonna be here long enough.
Like I knew that, but in that,
It's like
but still,
you're gonna hold out long enough. But I think, I think you got here when it was in the middle of everything.
Mm-hmm.
The program's going. I was also like in a different state of mind. So we don't really get to connect until after the program and things slow down. And now I'm showing up at work in the morning and I'm sitting across. And I was like, we're gonna have to be friends, and we're gonna have to be cordial with each other because we're gonna be working together. And then,
by the way, we were cordial. We were cordial. We worked. We said things. We exchanged.
But 3 months in, look at the chemistry. We got a podcast going. We got a whole lot of stuff we're doing together. So I think everything worked in its own timing. I think there was a cosmic timing to everything. If I rushed just something a little bit, this doesn't happen. If I was like, there were moments where I just wanted to rush and maybe look for an engineering job. Mm-hmm. So I think those moments of delay timed everything to perfection because the things that needed to happen happened. And this is how we ended up here. This is how this podcast came to life.
So the fact that Bishop asked me, give me timeline, I just give but. I feel like I have to re-explain, re-outline my process. Because I thought we were just going to be like, I thought it was like, I thought I was working within 30 seconds, but giving timeline. But since I've heard you,
have your moment.
Good. I feel like while you were talking, I feel like, oh yeah, definitely, and I should highlight these things, even if I'm not going to go, into too much detail. Mm-hmm. But I will definitely say my timeline. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, it will be me graduating from high school in 2014, mm-hmm. and not going to college right away because
I don't.
And, okay, you don't know. I know you don't know. Well, it in order to meet you.
That has to happen.
That has to happen. I have to graduate 2014, and I have to
not go to college
until I come across again. Like you, I was seeking scholarship opportunities, and so I applied to a lot of Chinese university.
Shout out to the Chinese universities.
Two universities. I did get like partial scholarship from. I got accepted in one, and got somewhat of a 15-20% scholarship, and then another one gave me I think close to 70%, but then even the percentage that I needed to pay, I was like, no,
it's still high.
I'm not going to be able to cover that, and so I turned those like offers down, and I continue, and so the scholarship that I mentioned that finally led me to apply to a U.S. university is called SheCan, and it's an acronym for Supporting Her Education Changes a Nation. It's a U.S.-based nonprofit that goes to post-war/conflict countries and select girls they deem women who are future leaders or something like that.
So you had to be a woman for all this to happen.
Exactly. I needed to be a woman.
You needed to be a woman.
Interesting timeline. Isn't
I
it?
know.
So I needed to be a woman, and I needed to be somebody who a group of amazing women thought that I could give back to my community or be a
I
leader
believe so
back
as
home.
well.
And so, yes, so I went through the selection process of that scholarship. And the amazing thing about it is they don't just like help you get a scholarship to go to the US. They pair you with a team of mentors that who just like support you throughout your journey, which leads us to actually sitting in one of their houses. This is not like my immediate mentor. This is like a really cool friend that I got to know last summer. Yes, I got to meet Jessica Armstrong last
Shout
summer.
out to Jess and Rob.
Yes, and Robert, amazing people. They're actually well, Jessica is my Shiken sisters mentor. One of my Shiken sisters mentor, Peaches, and so yeah, thanks Peaches and for an amazing mentor.
Yes.
And Jessica, and that's what we have. Yeah, this is Jessica's house that I'm currently staying. Since I started working at Lehigh 3 months ago. And so when I told her that Bishop and I were thinking about we're starting a podcast, she offered us her living room. She was like, oh, you can record it in your living room. I'm like, oh, but it's called Broken Building. We're trying to-
So I know we don't look very broke right now.
No, we don't look, but we are broke, just so you know. So that had to happen. I had to get the Shiken scholarship, go through an amazing, I would say, recruitment process, because to win the scholarship, we needed to do a community project while taking the SAT, prepping and taking the SAT. But and that community project made me learn something about me that I feel like I also have a passion for education. I've always known that I love imparting knowledge, but not in a very formal setting. I feel like you could like do both, but much more in a formal way.
Yes.
I love the informality of imparting knowledge without these constraints.
Yes.
That's how I would say. And so the education that the particular place that I found was menstrual education. And so through my community project, I did a menstrual education / period product distribution program, and then that led to establishing a nonprofit. And so that had to happen. And then
there's gonna be a lot of that as well. There's in upcoming episodes we're gonna also unpack more.
We have to so that had to happen, and then get the scholarship, come to the US, and I met a lot of amazing professors, honestly, and my academic professor, he was the one. Shout out to Professor Roland Kushner.
I know. I was just I can hear Roland.
I know. Two professors actually stood out to me while at college here at Muhlenberg. Greg Collins, amazing. I took almost about 3 to 4 classes of him. Same with Roland. Kushner, but it was Roland who when I was seeking or looking for a job, when I was on the job market in last semester, senior year, he kept asking like, hey Jenny, what's up? How was the job search going? After class, I was taking a course with him called nonprofit management, and so every time I would stay back and while he'd be like, hey Jenny, can I talk with you, or can I have a word, something like that, and he'd be like, how is the job search going? And I was like, it's good. I'm applying. He's like, okay. I'm like,
it's going thing.
It's going. It's like, no interview. I'm like, no interview yet. And so one day after like a class activity, he called me. He was like, hey, so there's this organization called the ICOCA Institute. Look it up. But he specifically tried to sell me the Mandela Washington Fellowship
I
program
see.
that the institute runs. He was like, they host some a group of African young leaders, and I just feel like it's gonna be a good place for you.
I know.
And so I was like, oh God, so because it's African, in my head that was what I was like. I'm like, I loved it. I felt like it. I didn't. The Mandela Washington part at that first conversation did not sink in to me.
See.
I was just like, oh my God, he's just trying to get me with all of like I appreciate you, but I actually need a job that will pay me. And secondly, and so I don't know, but I'm just glad that he kept asking, honestly, because it was not just once or twice. And then after I never honestly. I did not do any research on my part to even try to apply.
Yeah.
He sort of like, he was like, Jenny, send me your recent resume. And so I just sent him this like recent resume, and then he gave me feedback. He was like, oh, I think you should update this because there were some projects that I did. It's like, you should mention this. And so he gave me the feedback. I edited the resume, sent it to him. Then he did the connection with the ICOCA Institute with his buddy. And then I was like, oh, okay, there's an email introduction. And that's why I just like did my part, follow up, and got interviewed twice, honestly. It was a phone call first, and then there was like a Zoom call, and then I
heard you did great on that phone call.
No. No.
I heard that phone call.
I am bad with phone calls. I I need to see the person. It's like Scott did not impress me too as much. It was like, hey, Jenna, I'm like,
you're like, who's this
like,
guy?
Yeah, I was like,
so you both are not feeling each other on that phone call.
No, I was not feeling him. By the way, that's our director, by the way.
Yeah.
But he was like, I felt that way too, But he still after it was really short. It's like, hey, is this Jenny? I'm like, yeah, this is Jenny. Like I was like, not even feeling. Hello, Jenny. I'm like, yeah. Jennifer Maxwell, yeah. How are you? Fine. And then he was like, okay. I
can see him. He's like, all right, this is not gonna work, y'all.
He's like, I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay. So this person, Eduardo, will be reaching out to you for a Zoom call. I was like, okay. And then that was it.
Wow.
And I'm like,
okay, moral of the story. But that's the thing. That's how Jenny is on phone calls sometimes, especially when you're a stranger. After you get to know each other, yeah. But like with strangers, like it's very short, dry answers.
In code. Some people have told me that.
So like some people might take that as not interested or cold, or some people might just think you have an attitude. It's like there's that, but it's
but guess what? I killed the Zoom call.
So
I did so
in
well.
person, way better. So
I killed the Zoom call. Everybody. In fact, I think it was like they were going to this meeting. I didn't know what to expect. I don't know what they were gonna ask me about. I was just like, okay. Yeah. And then they were asking me a question. I was like, I actually enjoyed that. That was the first time that I had like an interview that I did not know where it was going. I did not prep because I did not know what they were going to ask me.
So I'm like, know what was going on.
I'm like, come on. At this point, I was exhausted because I applied to a lot of like jobs. I was just like, oh my God.
I was on Handshake doing a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then every time, like, you'd get something, and they're like, "Oh, are you an international student? Do you need visa sponsorship?"
Yeah.
Bye. And it was frustrating. So,
it was really frustrating.
But like I said, it's one of those things where, like, if any of those things happened, it would have ruined the timeline in a way. So I think that the fact that a lot of those stuff didn't work means I had time to wait for this opportunity, which I think.
Yeah, and that's how I ended up at the ICOCA Institute. I met like Bishop for the last 3 months now.
Yeah, so for the next a long time, we'll be bugging you guys about our random stories from Liberia.
You can let us know what
Yes.
Things that you might want to know about us. Honestly, we'll try to be as open. I cannot promise anything, but
So
I'll try my best. Yeah.
Two international students, recent graduates, studying their career in the U.S. Liberia, Botswana. So there's gonna be a lot of random stories from both our storylines and our timelines, but it will also be nice, to take some questions. Hopefully as we build an audience, there might be more specific stuff that you want to learn about. If you're a student interested, maybe coming to the US, or you're an international student in the US. So yeah, basically everyone, we hope you find these two random folks interesting and awkward and goofy, but fun at the end of the day. It's
Keyword awkward.
Yes.
I know
But yeah, it's just a fun thing. But I think with last words is just, I'm happy we started.
Yes.
Today was about starting. If there's anything you take from this was just two people saying we need to start this thing. We don't know what it is. We still don't know what it is. But the fact that we are starting it means now we are committing to it.
Yep.
And I think there's wonderful opportunity for growth. There's wonderful opportunity to explore, and get to know her more than I would just if we were sitting in the office. Because I think I'm going to learn a lot about you as a person in this setting in a different way than I would just at work when, there's the professional side. Mm-hmm. So I will be much an audience to you as they are, and I think vice versa. Yeah. And yeah, so thanks for tuning in. We hope you tune in to a lot more episodes.
Yep. And we are gonna start the YouTube channel.
Yes.
Right? Because this needs to go somewhere.
This needs to go somewhere. See, this is how much we have not figured this out yet. We don't know whether where this is going. We don't know where we're posting it.
It has to go on YouTube. Of
yes,
course.
It will
we
go
did
on
a
YouTube.
landscape shooting, so that's we can also share on Instagram. So we will have the Instagram page, and then we will have the YouTube channel, and we will ask you guys to follow us.
Yes, follow and subscribe. Click that.
Yes.
What do YouTube
Click
people
the link
say?
In the
click
what?
The notification bell.
Oh. So
just subscribe. Whatever's underneath this.
Do anything that you're supposed to do there.
Click all those things. It's not follow on YouTube, it's subscribe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So click subscribe and click the notification bell so that you know when our episodes come on live. So
yeah.
This was our first episode of Broken Building. Bye from me and Jenny.
Thanks for thanks for joining. I don't know how to end this. Yeah. Bye.
We're gonna have to watch YouTube videos about making YouTube videos and podcasts.
Okay, next time.
But I think this is fun because the audience gets to see us figuring this thing out in real time.
Yeah.
And I think it will inspire you if you have an idea you want to start but you don't have the info yet. I would say just go ahead and get started.
Just horizontal. Put your phone horizontal with light.
Turn on the camera.
You don't need this. By the way.
Just start yapping and cut, edit, figure it out. The first one is not gonna be perfect, and the first 5 are not gonna be perfect. But in a year, you're gonna look back, you're gonna see that growth, and this is what we're hoping to do. So, see you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Today, we do a bow.
I'm not. You're a theater kid. You're theater.
I'm the theater kid.
We did it!
Yay! There you go.
I just recorded my first ever podcast.
There you go. I'm going to keep this in. This is going to be like the opening scene with you dancing.
Why is this thing just shaking though?
This is the wooden floor.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.